Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. In our previous episode, we delved deep into Chloe's millennium-long time loop. This time, thanks to the joint efforts of Rimuru and Luminous, Chloe and Hinata were successfully resurrected, breaking free from the 2,000-year cycle. Following the battle with Granbell, Rimuru and the others swiftly returned to the Monster Federation. Despite enduring fierce battles in every sense, everyone emerged unscathed. After a brief rest, the three demon lords, Rimuru, Luminous, and Leon, convened with those involved in the recent events, initiating a small demon lord summit, with the primary topic being Chloe's millennium time loop. Through countless 2,000-year time loops, Chloe, acting as a hero in the world, tried to alter the fate of the Monster Federation's demise by making slight changes in each loop. After innumerable cycles, Chloe finally achieved a happy ending with everyone alive. However, based on Chloe's memories, many pressing matters within the time loop remain unresolved, greatly concerning Rimuru. Firstly, according to Chloe, in other timelines, Rimuru and Hinata seem to have been killed, most likely by the powerful beings of the Eastern Empire. Moreover, after Rimuru's death, the tempestuous storm dragon Veldora was repelled by the Empire Aether. Although Veldora might be slightly weaker than other true dragons, he's still a cataclysmic force. Only a few in the world could defeat him, implying that the Empire might be even more formidable than imagined. The second matter concerned Chronoa's memories. During the final battle with the storm dragon, Hinata was pierced through the chest by a beam of light. Witnessing this, Chloe awakened, traveling back in time, leaving Chronoa in the original world. After the Empire defeated Veldora and with Rimuru's death as the catalyst, Milim declared war against the Eastern Empire. At this juncture, Guy intervened, leading to a fierce battle between Milim and Guy. The giant demon Lord de Gruel and Luminous also clashed, plunging the world into a chaotic war. In such turmoil, Chronoa, driven solely by destructive intent and battling everywhere, was eventually slain by Guy. While the exact events were unclear, Rimuru realized they must be wary of Guy. On another note, Rimuru observed that, according to past timelines, Chronoa shouldn't have appeared in this world until after Rimuru's death. Logically, they shouldn't recognize each other, yet during their encounter at the Dwelling of Spirits, Chronoa instantly kissed Rimuru. Why did Chronoa have a soft spot for Rimuru? In response, Chronoa suddenly took control of Chloe's body, indicating that Rimuru had saved her. In the future, the person who rescued the rampaging Chronoa was Rimuru. At this point, Chloe's body housed two personalities, and if Chloe let her guard down, Chronoa could seize control. Thus, Chloe and Chronoa began narrating their experiences alternately. Firstly, the future Rimuru from the past timeline wasn't entirely deceased. Although defeated by the Empire, the Great Sage wouldn't allow Rimuru's demise. After much time, Rimuru was revived, possessing even greater strength than the current Rimuru. However, the world had transformed by then, facing the aforementioned chaotic war. Witnessing the devastation, Rimuru desperately searched for survivors, aiming to save his allies at the very least. Eventually, Rimuru discovered the connection between Chloe and Chronoa. After multiple battles, Rimuru successfully restored Chronoa's sanity. But by then, the global situation had deteriorated, and Chronoa was soon killed by Guy. By the time Rimuru arrived, it was too late. Consequently, Rimuru cradled the dying Chronoa, aiding her in transferring memories or perhaps her spirit to the younger Chloe in the subsequent timeline. Hearing such a complex story, Rimuru laughed heartily, expressing that as long as the outcome was good, everything was fine. The future of other timelines was merely a reference. The present Chloe was safe and sound, and it was unlikely for the storm dragon to go berserk too. The sons of the giant demon lord, de Gruel, were working under Cheyenne. Although Cheyenne said they weren't much of a challenge, they shed tears of gratitude when she rewarded them with dishes she made personally. Under such circumstances, de Gruel was even less likely to wage a military war against them. Hence, the focus should be on Guy and the Empire's actions. At that moment, Veldora suddenly remembered something and mentioned that Guy was a mediator. He emphatically stated that although Guy was no match for him now, he vaguely recalled being defeated by Guy a long time ago. However, Veldora added that he had no memory of such an event, so it probably didn't happen. The so-called mediator was a system that existed in a category distinct from both heroes and demon lords. Long ago, when the creator Veldanava formed the world, he established a rule: to cherish the world that had evolved so uniquely and not destroy it. Thus, he made an agreement with Guy, designating him as the world's mediator to prevent its collapse. This meant that if Guy were to kill Chronoa in the future, it would be likely because letting Chronoa, who had developed a will of destruction, run amok could lead to the world's downfall. Given this, Rimuru inquired if Leon could undertake the task of explaining the situation to Guy. Without hesitation, Leon agreed, saying it was also for the sake of his and Chloe's future. However, Chloe's treatment of Leon was very direct and harsh. The ambiguities in Leon's description were pointed out sharply by Chloe. Unlike Leon's perceptions, Chloe saw Leon merely as a friendly neighborly big brother, devoid of any romantic sentiments, evoking some sympathy. Rimuru couldn't help but feel sorry for Leon, thinking he should treat Leon better in the future. With that, the meeting came to a brief halt. Rewinding time a bit, at the location where Rain and Diablo fought, Diablo and Guy were conversing. Guy confidently stated that even though it seemed Rimuru was on the verge of dominating the Western nations, his demon subordinates were probably causing chaos there. With a sinister grin, Guy aimed to upset Diablo by annoying Rimuru. However, upon hearing this, Diablo laughed, stating that the wisdom of his Rimuru-sama was inscrutable. He had foreseen everything and made appropriate arrangements. Finally, in a place out of Rimuru's sight, Diablo provocatively challenged Guy. Meanwhile, an unprecedented crisis occurred in the Western nations. The Northern Demon Legion suddenly moved south, dealing a fatal blow to the border. Representatives of various countries convened urgently to form a joint army, debating whether Testarossa, a representative from the Monster Federation, should command it. Testarossa, one of the 3 primordial demons brought to the Monster Federation by Primordial Black Diablo, was known as Primordial White. Having lived for tens of thousands of years, Testarossa, now serving as the Monster Federation's diplomat, was present. However, the council members were unaware of her background. They only recognized her as a rare beauty and doubted her capability to lead an army, especially since the stakes were the very survival of the Western nations. Yet, in the face of their skeptical glances, Testarossa smiled enchantingly, and her subordinate, Moss, reassured them that reliable reinforcements had been dispatched, including the dragon ships of the sorcerer's dynasty Sarian, eliminating any need for concern. But these words couldn't dispel the council's doubts. Most of those present didn't trust monsters, and entrusting their fate to them required careful consideration. As a result, the room was divided between those who trusted Testarossa and those who didn't, tension filling the air. Only Testarossa seemed unfazed, listening quietly to the council's discussions. However, she soon stood up, her gaze fixed intently on someone in the crowd. Testarossa's sudden move left everyone baffled. The sole person upon whom her gaze fell was sweating profusely, his complexion gradually turning pale. That councilman was none other than John Rostia, one of the 5 elders. As he desperately tried to mask his unease, he questioned Testarossa's intentions. However, she ignored him, merely smirking with evident pleasure. The intimidation she displayed drenched John's face with sweat, filling him with fear. John Rostia cried out for his guards, asserting that monsters couldn't be trusted. As we previously mentioned in episode 19, the Apostles of Green were actually under John Rostia's control. They worshipped a deity known as the Primordial Green Misery. At John Rostia's summons, the guards of the Apostles of Green stormed into the room. Still, Testarossa remained unfazed, continuing her interrogation of John Rostia with the ease as she was enjoying a tea party. She demanded he reveal with whom he was communicating via magic and why they destroyed the magical defense barrier of the capital city of Ingracia. The room once again plunged into chaos at Testarossa's words. Moments later, a loud noise caused by the breaking of the defensive barrier validated her claim. Sensing his plan coming to fruition, John burst into triumphant laughter, ordering Gerard and Ein, the leaders of the Apostles of Green, to summon their god. Obliging the command, the Apostles of Green leaders began their chant. A dark portal materialized behind them. Accompanied by a despairing aura, a beautiful woman clad in a dark red maid outfit stepped out. She was Guy's subordinate, Primordial Green Misery. Panic instantly gripped everyone present. Most council members tried to flee, but the overpowering aura paralyzed them. John Rostia looked around contentedly at the terrified faces. All these events were part of a meticulously planned operation to undermine Ingracia's defenses, annihilate key members of the council, and ideally, kill the representative of the Monster Federation. The goal was to pit Guy against Rimuru, plunging the monsters into war and causing chaos in the human world. When that time came, the prepared pawn, the king of the Doran kingdom, would lead humanity to a new era. All of this was in service to humanity and the realization of Granbel's final wish. However, in stark contrast to the despairing councilman, Testarossa was still smiling seductively. Moss stood beside her, looking quite unimpressed. John naively believed that Testarossa's lack of fear stemmed from her inability to gauge the strength of powerful beings. Imagining the joy of shattering Testarossa's overflowing confidence gave John a sadistic thrill. But soon, John noticed something amiss. Beside him, Primordial Green, since her summoning, had remained inert, fixating only on Testarossa. The situation soon deviated from John's expectations. Misery was apparently taken aback to find Primordial White becoming corporeal. While greeting her, Primordial White, now named Testarossa, asked Misery to use her new name, given that Misery wouldn't appreciate being addressed as simply Primordial Green either. Realizing that someone had named Primordial White, Misery was utterly stupefied. Regardless, Testarossa provocatively stated that despite Misery's rare greeting, she wasn't about to lose to her. If war broke out, Testarossa vowed to send Misery back into millennia-long slumber. To clarify, demons are immortal. If killed, they would resurrect, retaining their memories, after some time, which could range from a few years to thousands. Even though Testarossa was still getting used to her new body, her combative spirit wasn't deterred by such trifles. While Misery might possess greater magical amount at this time, Testarossa had battled continuously for tens of thousand years. In contrast, Misery had been busy assisting Guy in administrative tasks. Aware of this disparity in battle experience, Misery declared her mission to destroy Ingracia's magical defenses barrier was complete. There was no need to risk her life in battle, making Testarossa's provocation pointless. Testarossa's laughter deepened, teasingly expressing anticipation for their next meeting. With that, Misery vanished emotionlessly. The council members present were utterly confounded, unable to comprehend the unfolding events. Conversely, realizing that their deity had abandoned them, the Apostles of Green's leaders crumbled. Gerard, enraged, drew his sword to attack Testarossa, but Moss swiftly restrained him. John Rostia looked visibly weary. Having overheard the conversation between the two ladies, he had discerned Testarossa's true identity, Primordial White, a being on par with the Apostles of Green's deity, Primordial Green. Recognizing this, John Rostia realized his fate was sealed. His plan, as well as Granbel's final wish and mandate, had failed. Subsequently, the magical interrogators present took John Rostia and several leaders of the Apostles of Green into custody. Although John Rostia screamed in desperation, no one came to his aid. Thus, Testarossa's position in the council became unassailable, and her dominion over the Western nations was solidified. Let's shift our perspective back to the conversation between Diablo and Guy. Guy began questioning Diablo about the recent events. Just as he received a message from Misery, it was revealed that Primordial White had become corporeal and been named in the world. Moreover, Misery's side had already retreated, making it seem that Guy's plan had completely failed. Contrary to the displeased Guy, Diablo delightfully noted that everything was under the control of his Rimuru-sama, and even Guy had been played as one of the pawns. Though perturbed, Guy acknowledged the gravity of a primordial demon being named, an event that could disrupt the world's balance. Hence, Guy expressed a wish to meet Rimuru in person to clarify matters. However, he was ruthlessly denied by Diablo. Somewhat exasperated yet holding back his anger, Guy, in a bid to express cordiality, placed his hand on Diablo's shoulder. He conveyed his interest in visiting Rimuru's territory, having heard of its prosperity. Guy added that he was also keen to know more about Rimuru's story. Pleased by the compliments towards his beloved Rimuru-sama, Diablo's mood brightened and he agreed. Unbeknownst to Rimuru, a consensus was thus reached between Diablo and Guy. In the next episode, the narrative would focus on Guy's visit to the Monster Federation. It's worth noting that Guy's irritation wasn't unfounded. Presently, not only did Rimuru control the Jura Great Forest, but he also dominated the entire Western nations. Additionally, Rimuru maintained strong ties with sovereigns like Luminous, King Gazel, Elmesia, and Nalim. An overview of the map would confirm that Rimuru's sphere of influence had indeed disrupted the previous world balance. The Eastern Empire, historically known for repeatedly defeating Rimuru, was now poised to wage war against the Monster Federation in the newest timeline. Alright, that's all for this video. In the next episode, we will start reviewing the content of Tensura Light Novel Volume 12. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.